It can handle all dimension types, so it can handle type 0s, 1s, 2s. It can do all that just the same as SSIS can. And the code is much, much simpler to write than previously needed. So again, if you're running an older environment, you had to run update statements, and then you had to run insert statements. The one caveat to the merge statement is that it has to be on the same server. So you could do it across a linked server, but your performance is just going to deprecate exponentially very, very quickly. Whereas with something like SSIS, SSIS is great at moving data across in very quick batches across servers, right? So that's really where we get into talking about how merge statements can work with SSIS. So SSIS can do the lifting across the server, and the merge statement can do the update for you. Instead of having to write just a merge statement to go across a linked server, especially in a data warehouse load, you're typically going to have your own separate server for that. You're not going to be sharing your transactional system with it. Each one's going to do something different. So transactions, you're going to do all your quick transactions really quickly, and SSI or your data warehouse is going to be your repository, all that information where all that happens at. SSIS, for anyone who's not familiar, it's an in-memory processing. So once you tell it to run, it processes everything that it needs to do in memory. It's extremely useful for data warehouse loading, as well as all kinds of other ETL type commands that you'd need to do. And it has really powerful capabilities in that regard. So you can move data very quickly from one location to another. In this sample file that we're going to be working with today, the file is a little bit bigger than 2 million rows, and we'll watch it load, and it loads about 2 million rows in about 97 seconds, which is really, really quick. So with that being said, like I said, short presentation, let's go ahead and get into the demos. So with that being said, I have a file here that I obtained from the government, and it's just a national file. It's just various features. I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see a little bit. It's just various features about what they are around the country. So there's a tower. It's in New York, and it's in Erie County, and it looks like it's a tower for WYRK-FM. It just gives us the latitude and the longitude, but apart from that, there's not really a whole lot in this file. There's what map it's on, what country it's in, and what elevation it's at. Now, one thing we'll notice is that our country, when it came in, is misspelled. So whenever we typed it in, we missed a T, so we just have the United States instead of the United States. So we want to go ahead and fix that. And as I'm sure we're all aware, with changing business requirements, that never happens, right? So our business requirement will change, and we'll say we don't want to see United States, we want to see USA, etc. So in SSIS here, I have a very quick, simple package, and it's just going to do a load here, and we're going to load it into our staging environment, and we're just loading from our flat file source, and we're just loading it into that destination there with what we've got. Very simple SSIS package. We've all built packages very similar to that before, and if we run it, it's just going to go through and just load all that data in for us. So it's going to load real quick here, and we can see it clocking along. And as that's loading, I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit about the architecture here. There's multiple tables in here that I've built just to show you guys kind of the various ways that we could use it. In a typical production environment, you just have two tables. You have your staging table and your production table. The other ones would all be the same. So over here on the left-hand side, I have my national file. So here's my national file for what we're loading right now. This is the file that we're going to update with SSIS, and then this is the top 50,000, and this is the total updates. Or sorry, this is the staging table that we're loading now. That's our final source dimension. So as we're running through here, we're just going to take a look, and if I open up one of these, let's go with, let's do this one. So here's our all. So the merge statement is, looking at it architecturally, we can see what it's doing under the covers. So we have a stored procedure here. We have our merge statement. And to open up merge, all we do is type keyword merge. it's just a reserved word, so we type merge, and then it's going to say, okay, what are we going to do? And then we open up a whole plethora of different options of what we can do. So we have, here's our table of what our destination is, and here's our staging table. So in this case, we're going to pretend that our national file table here is our dimension. So we're going to call this one our dimension, our dim national file. And this is going to be our staging updates file that comes in every day. And we're just going to alias them as destination and source. Once we've got that, we need to specify in here what are the two common denominators between these two things. So what's the key between the source table and the destination table? So we always have to have that target. In a dimension, it's going to be your business key, for example. You're not going to use your surrogate key because that's something that the data warehouse handles itself, completely separate from the source system. And this, since we're coming from the source system, we're joining in on whatever that is. If you're using this as this is just a type 1, but as we'll see in the type 2, we're going to do a quick little update down here, and we're going to say where the dim national file is current flag equals yes, so that we're only getting the most current record to make sure that we're evaluating against. And then we just get down into all the various little pieces around it. So we have what do we do when we don't match? So if we're not going to match, then what do we do? We're going to write an insert. So we're going to say insert, and I want you to insert these values in. And if you're familiar with the insert statement, it looks exactly to. Pretty much the only thing we did in addition was add this when not matched then. So we said when you don't find a match, then I want you to insert it. So I want you to insert the feature ID, the name, the class, all that information. And then I want you to add in our current flags as well. But then I also want you to say when it's matched, so when this join up here at the very top, sorry guys, I got to scroll a little bit here. So when these two things do match, then what do I want you to do instead? So when these two things are going to, then I want you to say, then it should match. Then the feature ID is not equal to the source feature ID, or if this isn't equal to this, pretty much every column that you're going to have all the way through, then I want you to update. I want you to set my update and my destination to equal whatever the source is. We're going to move that. So you can kind of see just by looking at it here that it kind of looks like a lot of code, but really, architecturally, it's not really doing very much. All we're doing, the only things that we're adding to it is this merge statement, and then we're saying when you don't find a match, then do this, then do an insert statement,